Hi everyone, and welcome back to Project No Buy. Today's video is another spotlight of a viewer comment, and this time about the pain of decluttering. So I received this comment, I think it was a long time ago actually, and so I'm sorry it's taken me such a long time to address this topic. I did do an initial video, I think it was titled The Pain of Decluttering, or it might have been thumbnailed The Pain of Decluttering. And for me, it was mostly about the inconvenience of trying to responsibly rehome things that I regretted buying and being determined to do so and not willing to kind of settle for a donation, not really knowing whether the things were going to get a second life or whether they were just going to end up as waste in the landfill and therefore kind of have me be responsible for that negative environmental impact. But anyway, the comment goes as follows. I have a topic. Do you find it painful to get rid of things? Because you have to deal with the pain and guilt of coming to terms with how much money was wasted. I have so much stuff I don't want anymore, but dealing with the regret is killing me. I know I would feel much better if I threw it all out and got a fresh start. Now, in response to this, I'm gonna get a little bit facetious here and say that it's seriously dangerous to buy anything new or new to you. Doesn't really matter if it's secondhand. So by that I mean bringing anything new into your life. It could be free even, because it does inevitably mean that that thing will leave your life at some point. The ideal scenario in terms of sustainability is perhaps that you'll use that thing forever until your time on Earth is no longer. But realistically, most things will not fit into that category of things you use forever. And so there will be this point of reckoning where you consider decluttering, disposing, or letting go of the thing that you bought, or the thing that you might be about to buy or contemplating buying. It really is a demise by 1,000 paper cuts, because each thing that you own was a purchase decision at some point that you said yes to, that you said yes to buying and bringing into your life. And so to know that we will be getting a fresh start by throwing everything out or donating it, decluttering it, and just starting over, we have to be 100% confident that we will not repeat that mistake or the sequence of events that led to us bringing all of these things into our lives. It's almost a distraction to declutter when we haven't fully gone through our reasons for being in that situation in the first place. I'm not saying we shouldn't get the ball rolling and let go of things in the meantime, but I do strongly think that the focus needs to be on not bringing in those new things and getting to that point of near 100% confidence that we will be able to refrain from reaccumulating and getting back into that spot of decluttering for the fresh start. It's not that we need to be punished by hanging on to all of our purchase regrets and having them around us as reminders, although that could be helpful too for some people. I have been keeping the makeup products that I'm not sure if I want to keep on my counter in the efforts to actually use them, but it has also kind of served as a reminder of, wow, it would be nice if I just didn't have this stuff in the first place and I would just have a nice clean countertop, a nice streamlined collection, and at some point, realistically, I probably will end up letting go of, and in this case, trashing the product and trying to recycle the packaging for most of that stuff, and that's how it's going to go. But I'm going to be doing this with that confidence that I won't be repurchasing. I won't be getting myself into that situation again. I will be adopting a one in, one out, use it fully up and replace policy for makeup. And it's not even going to be one in, one out. It might be a one out, don't bring anything in unless you actually need the product. So the most important thing is that not bringing in new stuff part of the puzzle. Otherwise, we will just continue to have to declutter further down the road when we realize that we feel differently about all of that stuff that we accumulated. There are countless examples from my own life, even as recently as last year. So last year I purchased a couple of nylon bags. That was on the list of things that I bought during my no-buy year. Were they purchased secondhand or resale? Yes. So therefore, more sustainably? Sure. Did I need them? No. Have I actually used them? Also no. Am I going to at some point declutter them? Very possible. Not at the moment, because I'm on a little bit of a break from decluttering, possibly for the reasons that I've just illustrated, although it wasn't necessarily conscious. I've just kind of reached a point where I don't want to spend the time interacting with my stuff in that way at this point, at this time, for this period. And, maybe it's to focus on the efforts of not bringing things in as kind of my main point of putting my reflective attention. It could also just be other factors in life, right? Like I have other projects going on that are taking up more of my time, and I have less time to just go through my collections of stuff and evaluate whether I should keep things, and don't want to put mental energy there. I stopped tracking my outfits a long time ago. Like these things are little habits of information data gathering that I just have a hard time sticking to amidst all the other things going on in life. But for those reasons, I'm taking a break from decluttering, and so the nylon bags that I bought and don't use may or may not be decluttered anytime soon, but the point is I could declutter them and not really notice the difference, and that definitely means I shouldn't have bought them in the first place. There were other things that I purchased even last year in my no-buy that were not in the same category. I kind of went through this in the video of the things that I justified buying and kind of breaking down those justifications and why I wouldn't fall into those same traps again. I'll link that one up here. But there were things like house slippers that I purchased and started using immediately and still use every day to this day. And while there are other aspects of that purchase that maybe weren't necessary, they didn't have to be that brand, they didn't have to be that price, they didn't have to be new, they're not necessarily in the same category of regrets because I use them immediately and I use them regularly. And I think that's a piece of this puzzle where you start to make purchasing decisions based on that feeling, underlying feeling perhaps, of wanting to avoid regret, but also knowing what aspects to focus on when you contemplate new purchases or new to you purchases, right? They have to be used immediately and frequently in order to avoid the pain of decluttering in the future. And so, that's kind of dealing with the future points, right? Not bringing things in. When you do bring things in, making sure that they are not going to be decluttered, ever, ideally. There were other categories of stuff that it may or may not make sense to declutter at all, and reasons for which it may or may not make sense to declutter at all, right? It's more sustainable to use your things up before getting rid of them. It's more economical to make use of all of the makeup and beauty products you have before buying more, because you can stretch out the time it takes between replacing things, even if you don't fully love each product. There are similar things for clothing, right? Similar reasons. If you can put off buying a new t-shirt because you can wear the ones you have until they wear out or become not wearable, then that's maybe the more sustainable, or it's definitely more sustainable, maybe more economical if it means you won't be buying another in that category. And there are other ways of decluttering that may or may not be as guilt-inducing in terms of if you resell, you might get some of the money back. If you give them away to people that need them, then you might be doing some good or some help to those people on the receiving end. And so those are maybe some of the ways to directly handle the guilt and regret and the pain of decluttering, is by trying to recoup some expenses, do good in the world, trying to make it kind of productive for your own life in terms of being sustainable or economical. If there's things that you truly don't want to be using and truly do have to let go of and make a new start with, then, bringing your focus onto that goal of not getting back into that position by accepting new things into your life, new to you things. As far as the money specifically, the wasted money, the only way to mitigate that, in my opinion, from where you stand today, is to realize that before the next purchase. Not to waste it again. To really think about that, and then to realize that before long, you will probably be up against that decluttering decision with whatever it is you're thinking about buying. And thinking about how that might feel, thinking about where you might like that money to go instead. Chances are the things that we keep and use up 100% are not things that we feel like we wasted our money on. And so if that becomes our focus of learning how to ascertain what things we will keep and use up in their entirety, and only putting our money into those things, our money and our time and our efforts and our value by bringing them in, then I think, honestly, that that's the best way to assuage that feeling of regret that we currently might carry, by feeling confident that we will be doing better and that we won't ever end up in this position again. And so that if and when we do a complete purge and start fresh, we can have that feeling that we're confident that it is the fresh start for real. Not decluttering and giving ourselves a start as some kind of band-aid in order to tide us over until the next time we end up in this situation again. And in some cases for me, like I think I've already shared in, again, that video of breaking down justifications, in some categories, I do wish I had less. Shoes is an example. I wish I had fewer pairs of shoes, but I'm going to take the time to use the shoes that I have, and maybe by the time that I get down to what feels like an acceptable number of shoes, I will be equipped to make better decisions in terms of not buying any more shoes. And so these kind of slow decluttering processes, right, where you make a point to use up what you have, the project pans, right? These can teach us things as well that help us avoid all these future regrets. And so there's a balance between throwing it all out and getting that fresh start and trying to consciously use what we can that doesn't cause us too much inconvenience and detriment or make us want to shop for things because we're frustrated by what we have. Like balance it out for your own life, okay? But there is an approach that can minimize the regret, and for me that approach is focusing on the future and building an approach that ensures the avoidance of regret in the future, the avoidance of wasting money in the future, being confident that I'm putting all of my time and money where my values truly lie and will still be lying, will still be my values in the years to come. So I know that was maybe a little bit convoluted, but I hope it was helpful in some way. But that's all I have to say on that subject for today. And while it never feels good to have realized that you wasted money or time or that you were acting out of line with your values, we only live in the present and we can't go back to the past. We can hope for the future. So that's kind of where I land with the regrets and the pain of decluttering. All right, bye for now, and I will see you in the next one.